Hello all, welcome to this lesson called Introduction to the C Programming Language. In the previous lesson, we discussed a few basic concepts of programming like what is programming, what is a programming language, and I also discussed about what is the difference between a programming language and a binary language, isn't it? So in this lesson, I am going to discuss about the features of C programming language and also the applications of C programming language. So before discussing the features and applications of C programming language, I thought I'll take this opportunity to appreciate and give credits to this great person who gifted one of the beautiful programming language to the entire software community called as the C programming language. And he is none other than Dennis M Ritchie. Yes, Dennis M Ritchie is the original implementer of the C programming language, my dear friends. So he implemented C programming language between the year 1972 and 1973 at the Bell Laboratories, USA. I personally consider Dennis M. Ritchie as my god because he is the one who actually taught me programming. He did not teach me directly, but he taught me programming indirectly through his book called The C Programming Language. It is such a fantastic book, my dear friends. I owe my entire programming career to this book as to this great person, Dennis M. Ritchie. So if you wish to become a highly paid programmer, or if you wish to improve your logical thinking skills, or if you wish to improve your programming skills, then I would highly recommend you guys to read this book called as The C Programming Language. It is such a fantastic book, my dear friends. Let me tell you, by the time you complete this book, your logical thinking skills would have gone to the next level, right? So once you complete this book, I don't think there would be anyone else to beat you in programming. That is the kind of book this is. This is a fantastic book, and I would highly and strongly recommend you to buy a copy of this book right now after watching this video, right? So having said that, let me move to the next topic. So before getting into the features and applications of C programming language, I thought it is very important that you must understand the difference between system software and application software, because understanding the difference between system software and application software is crucial for your programming career, right? So if you get into software industry, you can find two kinds of softwares, right? One is system software and the other one is application software. Now, what is the difference between these two, right? So let me start with system software. Any software that has been written purely for interacting with the computer hardware. So such kind of softwares are called as system softwares. Example, your operating system. Your operating system is the best example for system software because it is the one which will interact with your hardware. It is the one which will manage your complete computer hardware. And that is why you call your operating system as system software. Let me repeat, any software that you write for the sake of interacting with the computer hardware or to manage your computer hardware is called as system software, right? Now, when you say operating system, your device drivers, your compilers, your interpreters, okay, your schedulers or your shells, all these come under operating system, right? So all these are examples for your system software, right? Now, then on the other hand, what do you mean by application software? Any software that you write for the sake of interacting with the user is called as application software. So if you take your smartphone, you can see on your screen, there would be a lot of applications that you have downloaded. So all those apps are example for application software because they were developed to interact with the user, right? So such kind of softwares are called as application software. Right. So again, let me repeat the difference. The software that is written purely for managing and interacting with the system or the computer hardware is called a system software. And any software that has been written for interacting with the user, right, to serve user request, such kind of softwares are called as application softwares, right? So I felt understanding the difference is very crucial, and that is why I added this slide as part of this course, okay, as part of this lesson. So having said that, let us now move on to the features of C programming language, right? So there are various features of C programming language. So let me discuss this one by one. The first one is C is a general purpose programming language. Now, what do you mean by general purpose programming language? It means it can be used for multiple purposes, right? So C language can be used to develop system software, as well as it can be used for developing your application software. And that is why C is called as a general purpose programming language. Unlike your Java or Python, which can be used only for developing application software, whereas Java and Python cannot be used for developing system software. That is not the reason why Java or Python was implemented in the first stage, right? So that is the reason we call C as a general purpose programming language, where C can be used to develop system softwares as well as to develop application software. Though let me warn you that C was not implemented by Ritchie to develop application software. Okay, Ritchie implemented C language just to implement or to talk to the hardware. So Ritchie implemented C language to build a Unix kernel. That was the main purpose of Ritchie implementing C language. But still, C is so powerful that it can be used as a programming language to develop application software. That is why we call C as a general purpose programming language. And that is one of the advantage of C programming language, my dear friends. Coming to the next feature, C is a procedure-oriented programming language, right? So what do you mean by procedure-oriented programming language? So procedure-oriented programming language indicates that whenever you are writing code using C programming, your main emphasis or your main importance would be given to functions, right? So if you guys are new to programming and if you have no idea about functions, don't worry. I would be discussing about functions in a separate lesson in detail. For now, just understand that when you say procedure-oriented language, then it means that that programming language gives a lot of emphasis and importance on functions. It means when you write your C code, you structure your C program in the form of, in the form of functions. It means you always write functions for each and every task to be achieved. That is what is the meaning of procedure oriented language, and C gives a lot of importance to functions, and that is why C is called as a procedure oriented programming language, right? That is one of the feature, right? Now coming to the third feature, C programs are platform dependent. Exactly, yes, they are called as platform dependent. It means if you have a C program that has been compiled on a computer with a Windows and Intel combination computer, right, then the same executable file cannot be executed on another computer which has Linux and Intel combination, right? It means a binary file that has been created for a computer which has Windows and Intel combination cannot be taken and put onto another machine with a Linux and Intel and Linux and Intel combination computer, and you cannot execute it over there. It means a binary file on one computer, a C program binary file on one computer cannot be executed on another computer. It doesn't work. That is what is the meaning of platform dependent. Platform, when I say platform, it means it's a combination of Windows and Intel, my dear friends, right? So though when you say C programs are platform dependent, it is one of the disadvantage of C programming language, because when you compare Java and Python, okay, so in Java and Python, you can actually take the binary, Java binary, which is been created on one computer, you can take that binary and you can run it on some other computer. It's absolutely possible. That is why you call Java and Python as platform independent. Okay, so that is the advantage part of Java and Python when you actually compare with C language, whereas C programs are completely platform dependent, my dear friends. Okay, now that is one of the feature. Now the next feature is C is an intermediate programming language. It means that C can be used to talk to the hardware, okay, as well as it can also be used to actually talk to the user. It means it can come in between your low level language as well as your high level language, and that is the beauty of C language, right? So that is why we call it as, sometimes we call it as intermediate programming language, right? Now having said that, we'll go to the next feature. C has a rich library that contains various useful built-in functions to support the programmers. Absolutely yes, right? So C language comes with lot of pre-built, okay, built-in functions. It means that if suppose you want to print certain characters on the screen, you don't need to code everything from scratch. There is a built-in function called as printf, which will actually help you in directly printing all the characters on the screen. Similarly, if suppose you want to allocate certain amount of memory dynamically for a single variable, then you can do it using malloc function. So there is a predefined code, predefined functions which will do that job. Similarly, if suppose you want to concatenate two strings, right? So you don't need to code it all together by yourself. Rather, there is a predefined function called a string cat, which will actually do the concatenation of two strings, right? So similarly, there are a lot of predefined functions which will make programmers' life very easier, right? So in further lessons, I would be discussing, once I start C programming in detail, I will be discussing all these in detail. So have no worries, okay? Because these are just features of C programming language, I'm just trying to put it over here in the slide, okay? So having said that, Now, the next feature is the execution speed of C programming is very high. It's because of the platform dependent nature. Okay, we have this advantage of having execution speed of C programs is very, very high. Okay, so that is one of the feature. And the last feature is that C provides access to control our program memory dynamically. Absolutely, yes, my dear friends, right? So in C program, when you write code in C program, you get the access to memory. It means you can increment the addresses, you can decrement the addresses. Okay, you can find where your variable is actually present in the RAM. You can print the addresses of memory and so on and so forth. You can play around with memory, right? So which this option is not available in other languages like Java or Python or such kind of languages, right? I understand that. Okay, so this control over memory that is given to us by C programming can either be an advantage or a disadvantage. It is an advantage because we get control over the memory, but it can also become a disadvantage because we might end up messing up with our memory. We might end up crashing our entire program because of memory issues, isn't it? So that is why I call it as an advantage as well as a disadvantage, a kind of mixed blessing, isn't it? Right? So these are the features of C programming language. Now, let me now proceed to the next slide where I'll be discussing about the applications of C programming language. It means where can C programming language be applied? Okay, let us go and check this out. Now, so these are the applications of C programming language. The major application is C programming language is used to develop operating system. So any operating system that you can see on this planet has been developed using C programming language because C was developed as a system software programming language. It means that it was developed to talk to the hardware. That and no other languages it can even come close to C programming language when it comes to developing system software. So C has that power to talk to the hardware, and that is why most operating system on this planet make use of C programming language to implement their internal data structures. Right, that is one thing. So next one is C programming language are used for developing embedded system products. It includes your smartphones, it includes your TV remote, it includes your microwave oven, your MP3 players, all kind of electronic products. Okay, would definitely make use of your C programming language, right? They would have they would have their firmware, and those firmware would be implemented using your C programming language, right? So all embedded system products will definitely make use of your C programming language. That is one more application of C programming language. Now coming to the third one, okay, so if you can see any programming languages, say for example C++, Java, Python, or no matter, take any programming language, most of the compilers for these programming languages are written in C language. And that is once again because C programming language is a system programming language. It is used for developing system softwares, right? So any programming language or most of the programming languages, okay, are developed using C programming, my dear friends. Okay, using C programming language. Now, so C programming language can also be used for developing a lot of mathematical and scientific computing applications like rockets and for your aeronautical engineering and so on and so forth, right? So as I said earlier, again, compilers, interpreters, and assemblers for most programming languages are being developed using the C language, right? So even most of the database systems have also make use of C programming language, right? Though C programming language is not a favorite among the gaming softwares, but still I have personally seen a lot of games and animation softwares that have been developed using C programming. And this shows the power of C programming language, my dear friends, right? So though C is mainly used for system software, so C programming languages have also been used to develop certain games and animations. Okay, so by this, I think you have understood what are the different features of C programming language, and you also understood where C programming languages are used. Okay, so in the next lesson, I would actually show you how to compile your C programming C code using on Windows machine. Okay, so if you have liked this lesson, then thank you so much for watching. So please do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Okay, like my video, and also click on the bell icon so that you will receive my further updates on my next lessons. Okay, so having said that, meet you all in the next lesson. Until then, take care. Bye bye. Love you all so much. Bye guys.